Just gotta do a sound check. There we go then. Let's do a quick run through the lineups. I'll do a quick introduction once the feature race started. Your eyes are definitely not deceiving you. You are seeing F2 cars in play tonight. It's of course the Silverstone wildcard for WAOF1 Sundays. Let's see how this works. So basically, I don't think there is going to be a rundown because I'm going to probably do some driver introductions with the formation lap. I believe the formation lap should be on for the Formula 2 race. But basically how tonight wildcard works tonight is it's a 35% F2 race because of the Middle Eastern war. Our F1 suppliers could not supply the F1 cars in time, so they were just too kind to borrow us the F2 cars for tonight. So just to give you a quick update, all the Ferrari drivers will be driving in the Invicta cars, and then Mercedes will be in Bremer, McLaren will be MP Motorsport, Red Bull will be in the high-tech, Haas will be in ART, Sauber will be in AIX, Aston Martin will be in Roden, Williams will be in Dams, Alpine will be in Trident, and VCARB will be in the Campos. So it does seem like everyone's getting ready to ready up. Let's just see, let's go break off to the F2. Okay, cool. So it will be a 35% race. I do believe the point scoring system will more or less work the same as the sprint race, I believe. I can't think that there'll be a double header with main race points, but I can be wrong. And just to give you a quick run through, it will be a reverse grid for the F2 race, and then the results of the F2 race will obviously set the grid for the F1 race, where all the cars will arrive on time for the main race. So it should be interesting to see. I'll give you a quick grid rundown when we do the formation lap. The race will start at 10 past 8, which is 10 past 9 my time, but doesn't matter. Always fun to be around for WAO. Let's see if my stream is working. I'll see hey from Bucko. Hey Bucko, good luck with the race tonight. Obviously Bucko having some season so far. Really been finding his pace lately. So let's see, still waiting for players. I do hope there is a formation lap so that I can do a quick introduction for you guys. But it does look like it's a bit sunny tonight. Obviously, I've got no clue what the weather forecast is going to look like, and it's going to be absolutely atrocious to listen to the F2 cars, but be it as it may, gotta make the arrangements with today's circumstances. Big up to the WAO admins. Always a pleasure, Wiley. Always a pleasure. Good luck tonight. Can someone tell me if there's a formation lap? Because I would like to do a quick rundown of the grid. Just to give an indication of who's the reserves. Obviously, we've got Wall, Adam Halford, and James, who's going to be reserving tonight. And as per regular standards. In WAO with reverse grids, the reserves will be starting at the back regardless of their pace. Only full-time drivers will be considered for the reverse sequence. Thank you, Doggers. We can do a quick run through the driver standings. Let me just check if it's the right standings. So currently we've got M. Dorling, who's in quite a hefty lead over Dakuna. Bit of a battle between him and Hilly for P2 there, and then we've got Ryanair P4 and Licorius in P5, and then the two Saubers, two sexy Saubers in P6 and P7 on the individual standings. And let's do a quick rundown on the constructor standings. The constructor standings is a very close race between Alpine and Haas, with McLaren and Red Bull sniffing down their bum, with obviously 5 more rounds to go for the season, so everything to play for the Alpines and Haases. And apparently, I did not know this, apparently they need to, the pit stop needs to be on or after lap 3. And apparently when there is a safety car deployed, then it will not count as a pit stop, mandatory pit stop at least. So that's the F2 rules, it seems. I did not know this. Does obviously show you how irregular I've been lately with F1 and F2 rules in general. But it does seem like we might get ready to start. It is 8:10, and we all know that WAOF is quite quick with the trigger to ready up when they need to. So there we go. Obviously a very, very new look to things here in WAO. We're seeing F2 cars for the first time this season. And just to give you a quick grid rundown, we obviously got Adam Halford, who's reserving tonight, starting at the back, and then James and War will be in the row just ahead of him. Then we've got M. Dorling, of course, the driver's leader, starting in P16 with his rival. Not as much as a rival for the final 5 rounds, but Daguna will be starting in P15 with Hilly in P14. Then we've got Ryanair, Lacorius in P13, P12 respectively, and then we've got the two Saubers of Whale and Delano starting directly next to each other. And then we've got Admiral in P9, JSS 2.0, we've got in P8, Watson P7, Kev, big old Kev in P6 there, and then we've got Doggers in P5, Bucko in P4, and then we've got Emperor, or as most of we know, Junkie in P3. Robin will be starting in P2, and then we've got Boss Membrane, surprisingly, starting from pole position in this race. Would be quite interesting to see what the tyre detail looks like. Let me just get the track map on. Sorry boys, I'm a bit of a noob now since I've been taking a break, but we've got basically Bucko, Doggers, Watson, Dorling and War on the hard compounds, and then the remainder of the grid will be on the soft, so it will definitely be an interesting thing to see what the strategies are in terms of the mandatory pit stops. And obviously, as we know, it's a 35% race as Boss Membrane starts lining up to his grid slot. Will be a very interesting race for sure. We've got Admiral as a disqualified driver. This is a horrible angle, EA. Can't see absolutely anything, but we are getting ready to race And this is a much better angle as we get ready for the race. And it's lights on and lights off, and here we go, and it's Boss Membrane getting a very slow start. Robin with the better start between the two, and Junkie also now overtaking Boss Membrane there. Does look like the field is quite clean through the first few corners, as Boss Membrane is making his recovery back onto Emperor for P2 position. And then and then we've got something going on at the back there. Not quite sure what happened there, but it did seem like a green car, with Doggers now seeming to make a move onto Watson. Watson going a bit deep there, but Doggers trying to maintain his composure here to look for an overtake. And we've got yellow flags, and might be something here in the front. Oh no, it's JSS. JSS has spun off, and he's now set quite further back. But Robin maintaining the lead here over Boss Membrane on the soft tyres, of course. Robin followed closely by Boss Membrane and Emperor. Starting to already create a bit of a gap to Kev, with Admiral climbing loads of spaces with Delano hot on his heels. And then obviously we've got Watson trying to catch up to Delano. It's going to be a very tough ask for Watson to catch up. Guna with a massive start, jumping up to P8, with M Dorling, his championship rival, still sat at P15, obviously on the harder compound, so that might also justify what's happening there. But Admiral with a wonderful start. Let's have a look here at the position changes. So it is Admiral and Delano both making up 4 positions, with Dakuna making up 7 positions. A wonderful start there from Dakuna, and it did seem like someone was going off there. Was it Doggers? Doggers losing out on a few spots, with War up from P17 to P10, so that's obviously a very great jump for him. And Daguna looks to make a move on Watson, and he does so cleanly, and he's now on the hunt for Delano right ahead of him. Admiral hunting down Kev, want to make sure that he doesn't lose too much touch to the front 3 there. Boss Membrane going off track a bit here, but he might get an opportunity here on Robin, going through Maggots and Beckett here, and obviously getting DRS on the straight into Stowe. Let's see if he does gain enough on Robin. It doesn't seem that way, bit too far behind. Then Robin maintains his lead going into lap 3. Kev has got a lot of company behind him, with Admiral, Delano and Guna hunting him down for that P4 position. Robin setting the fastest lap of the race so far. And something is happening at the back. Must have been some sort of contact here, but Bucko is round and Dockers is round as well. Might have been some contact between the two of them, as they were quite close to each other. Watson with the first 3-second time penalty. It does seem like James has got a time penalty as well. And James has spun. So he's down to P18 and he's spun again. The commentators curse with James. James is now back, right at the back. Does seem like these Robin is running away with it at the moment, with Boss Membrane losing a bit of touch to Robin, but he is under threat now from Emperor, going through Maggots and Beckett's. It's all gonna depend on how Emperor takes Maggots and Beckett's, whether he gets a good enough exit through Chapel to get DRS open and get into that slipstream of Boss Membrane ahead of him. Let's see if he gets enough of a slipstream and enough DRS assist to make the overtake. No, he's gonna definitely back out here, with Emperor still sat at P3, but looking very threatening to Bossman Brain for that P2 position. We all have to remember that the results for this race will determine the grid for the main race, as we've got Watson, War and Whale making his pit stop, so Whale might be looking here for the harder compound. With it does seem like Licorius following him into the pit lane. It does seem like these two are the only drivers, and James has retired from the session, so James will be starting the main race in P19. There is a yellow flag again, and it is Doggers. It does seem like Doggers is struggling a bit to find the traction of these F2 cars. You can't blame the guy, as this is a F1 league. Loads of drivers obviously not used to the handling mechanism of the F2 cars, with Whale making the pit stop and overtaking Doggers. So Whale now sets his charge to catch up to the back of the pack here. Let's go back to the action between Boss Membrane and Emperor here. It does seem like they're quite consistent with each other in terms of pace, but Emperor will be getting DRS here on Boss Membrane. Will he gain enough? And there is Doggers again. Doggers is doing donuts on the track. And it goes back to the action, ladies and gents. So Daguna has made his overtake on Kev. So Daguna moves into P4, but he does make his trip to the pit lane, and Delano follows him in. Careful of that pit lane, and Delano saves it quite well not to exceed the pit limiter there. So Daguna and Delano into the pit lane, with Kev still fending off Admiral after Admiral's fantastic start. War, who's started from P17, now in P6, with quite a gap between him and Ryan and Hilly behind him. This might be a battle to be worth looking at. Ryan and Hilly obviously been having battles throughout the season, and Ryan probably one of the most sensible drivers in the league, with Hilly making a move on the inside of Ryan. Will he make it stick? They're going side by side on their way through, and Doggers has retired from the race. Hilly makes the move stick, but does Ryan have enough slipstream to maybe make a move into Cops? Will he be brave enough? And no, he doesn't have enough power to get on top of Hilly, but there might be an opportunity here for Ryan F to retake P7 from Hilly. Wonderful driving between the two of them, side by side, going through there. Let's have a nice drone view from the straight here. Will Ryan Air catch enough to overtake Hilly? Does not seem that way. James has left the session. Not sure whether he might need another invite. But Ryan M does now make his move into the pit lane, as well as the top 5. It does seem like War is going to carry on with his stint. He is on the hard tyres, of course, so he'll be looking to take this long. Let's see where else we've got some action. It does seem like there might be some action between Halford and Delano here. Alfred slowly lurking to the back of Delano. Let's give you a reminder of the stops. So the top 4 at the moment still to pit. Basically 5 drivers still remain to pit. Adam Halford has gone a bit deep there, but still keeping his position behind Delano. He'll be looking to make a move on Delano here, but Ryan Air has come out behind Adam Halford, so he'll be in this battle between these two great drivers, as we see Buck around onto the grass. So Bucko is around. He's waiting for an early release back onto the track. But he is lost now to P16. But back to the battle between Delano and Halford. Halford is sniffing the tail of Delano here. It will be an interesting battle between the two of them going into Stowe. And it seems like Halford might have got the better exit. He does have DRS to Delano, I believe. He does. Will he make the move on Delano? He does. He goes on the outside. Will Delano stick his nose onto the inside? No, he won't. He concedes the position, and Adam Halford moves up into P12. Admiral seemed like quite a slow exit to that corner, but Whale has overtaken both Akakev and Admiral, I believe. I'm not sure actually whether Admiral and Kev came out behind Whale, sorry. But Healy comes out from the pit lane now, and he joins the fun between the battle between Admiral, Kev and Whale. Whale sat in P8. He does seem like he's quite confident with the handling of the F2 car, so his next aim is to chase down Emperor ahead of him, 4.4 seconds ahead. Still quite a battle. Aguna is making up a lot of ground as Dorling gets a 3-second time penalty now. But Guna is absolutely rapid. He's about more or less, let's say, 9 to 10 seconds behind Dorling, which is quite the advantage to have over your championship rival. But Guna is absolutely looking fantastic here tonight. Boss Membrane gets a 3-second time penalty. But will Guna have the drag over Boss Membrane to make an overtake into Cops? It doesn't seem that way. But elsewhere we've got Ryan Air now lurking down the tail of Delano, trying to get an overtake done here. Delano obviously does have DRS to the driver ahead of him in Adam Halford. And we've got a yellow flag again, which is Bucko. Bucko's round again onto the grass. Unfortunate there for Bucko. War is leading the race by 11.9 seconds, which is quite the lead to have over the two drivers behind him who hasn't stopped yet. But Guna is looking absolutely dangerous here. He does seem like he might have the pace over Boss Membrane, but Boss Membrane will be able to keep the Guna behind him with this DRS straight ahead of him. The Guna might be looking to get a move done here. Let's see whether Guna can get it done. He does stick his nose to the inside of Boss Membrane, but Boss Membrane stays to the inside of the Guna. Who's going to get the better traction? It does seem like it's going to be the Guna, and the Guna comfortably takes the P5 position, and he now has his eyes set on Robin ahead of him. And it seems like there might be some trouble at the back. And it's Adam Halford, who's been looking very quick so far. Not sure whether there might have been contact between him, Delano, or Hilly, as Watson gets another 3-second time penalty. But this will be some battle to be looking out for, as Delano is keeping the train behind him of Hilly, Ryan and Lecorius. Who's going to work out the better driver down the straight going into Stowe? It seems like Hilly is lurking. Will he be looking for a move here on Delano right on the tail? But there might be an opportunity here for Hilly going into the penultimate corner of the track. Will Hilly make the dive? No, he won't. Always as sensible as possible. Hilly still sticking to P12, and Delano remains the lead driver of this chain. As we go back to the front here, does seem like we've got quite a bunched group here, with Robin still in the provisional lead of the race, but War is having an absolute ripper of a race so far, with a 12.5 second lead over the championship leader in the form of Dorling. Robin will be looking to get a move done on Watson, maybe going into Stowe, but he's gonna have to get his car as close as possible to Watson on the exit of Maggot, Beckett and Chapel. Robin just going off track a bit there. It seems like Robin's got loads of pace in this F2 car. He might be in the running here for the race win. Gonna have to see what his exit looks like here going into Stowe. Let's see if he gets the DRS assist that he needs over Watson to get the overtake done. Will Robin go for the move here on the inside? No, he just backs out at the last second, but he might have an opportunity here going into the penultimate corner. Let's see whether he does do so. No, he won't. Still remains behind Watson, but it does seem like he's got the better grip in tyres over Watson. He might make a move here into turn 1. Let's see if he does. Still remains to the back of him, keeping it nice and tidy and as clean as possible. It does seem like War and Dorling has made their pit stop, so they'll probably be going onto the soft tyres. But incredible battle here between Robin and Watson. Watson obviously gonna be on the slower tyre between the two, so Robin might be looking for a move here with the DRS assist that he is getting. Let's see whether he does do so. He just backs out on the move on the inside of Watson, but Watson runs deep, and that opens the door for Robin to go down the outside, and the Gooner now back into the conversation as he's right down the rear of Watson. But will Watson go for the risky move here into Cops? No, he won't. He comfortably gets it stuck. But now Gooner getting the move done on the exit of Cops. They're gonna go side by side through Maggots and Beckett. What a battle this will be between the two, and Gooner just on the better tyres between Watson and himself, and he now moves into P2, not letting Robin get away with this race win. Absolutely wonderful driving between the Gooner and Watson, and Adam Halford has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Throughout the rest of the race here, we don't have much battles going on. It does look like Ryanair might get a run here on Delano. Will he make a move on the inside? He's gonna look for the better traction on the exit here. He might get an opportunity to get the overtake done on Delano. No, he won't. He still sticks to P12 as Delano remains in P11. Admiral now gets a 3-second time penalty. War is in P6 at the moment, so he might have an outside chance of getting his name into the conversation for either a podium or even potentially a race win. He is on the soft tyres, so he's definitely in the beneficial position. There's a lot of drama going around at the back here. Not quite sure what's going on. It might be Bucko who's round. It is indeed Bucko that is round there. But back to the battle for the lead. So the Gooner now follows Robin going into Maggot and Beckett. He will have an opportunity going into Stowe with the DRS assist. It's all going to depend on the exit he gets out of Chapel, whether he gets close enough to Robin. It seems like Robin's the faster driver through Maggot and Beckett, but he's going to slot his car right into the slipstream of Robin, but he's going to remain in P2, not going in for any risky moves. This is a battle between the two of them for the race win, with obviously the drivers behind going for the risky moves. Watson going for another lap, so he might be looking to box this lap. So this is an opportunity for Boss Membrane to try and get past the driver of Watson, to make sure he's not into threat of War. War does set the fastest time of the race so far on those fresh soft tyres, but Gooner might get an opportunity here in the DRS straight. Loads of yellow flags tonight. Can definitely see there's no comfortability with these F1 drivers in these F2 cars, but it's the fun of it. It's entertaining, and Gooner might be looking for a move on the inside of Robin here. He does. They're gonna go side by side. A bit of contact there. Gooner backs out after that contact, and Robin regains the lead. on the inside there of Gunnar. So Gunnar's gonna have another opportunity going into Cops. Might not be close enough, so he might leave it for the straight before Cops to get the move done. Boss Membrane has gotten overtaken by War on that fresh soft tire, so now War is closing in on the lead 2 of Robin and Gunnar. Robin now, let's see whether Robin can get the job done on Gunnar. Gunnar's got DRS, of course. Let's see if Gunnar goes for the move on the inside of Stowe. He will. He's putting his nose there, but Robin remains in the lead. But there might be another opportunity here for Gunnar after the defense, but no, still remains in P1 and P2. Watson now into the pit lane with War moving up to P3. What a race War has been having here. So still a wonderful battle between Robin and Gunnar here for the race win and for pole position for the main race. Seems like there might have been a slight bit of contact there, which forced Robin a bit wide. So there will be another opportunity here for Gunnar on this DRS straight. Will he make the move stick this time? And Gunnar sends it to the inside of Robin. Robin happy to give the position back to Gunnar, just to maybe go for the switch back. A wonderful drive in between the two, but Gunnar just getting the move stuck on Robin here. These two is gonna have to be careful with the battling that they're doing, because we've got a rapid wall behind them. Oh, and a bit of contact, and that sends off Robin. Slight bit of contact there, nothing that Gunnar could do, of course. But War now moves into P2, with Robin now dropping down to P3. He's under threat up to Boss Membrane. Boss Membrane is sending his car to the side of Robin, going into Stowe, and Boss Membrane captures the P3 position. He does go off track, so there might be an opportunity here for Robin to maybe make a dive on the inside of Boss Membrane. Great bit of driving between the two, and what a move this is. Through goes Robin, and Robin makes the move stick for P3. And Boss Membrane might be a bit frustrated with himself there, losing out on that P3 position, and that ultimately gives Emperor the opportunity to put his name into the conversation for the podium position. Of course, with Boss Membrane with a 3-second time penalty, Emperor might capitalize on the battle between Boss Membrane and Robin. But it does seem like Gunnar is now running away with this. It will be a wonderful victory for the Gunnar if he can keep clear of the 3-second gap behind him of War on the soft tires for the final lap and a half of the race. Gunnar comfortably going through Maggins and Beckett. Boss Membrane just losing a bit of touch to Robin, and Emperor is hunting down Boss Membrane for that P4 position. Of course, based off the penalties, Emperor will be in P4. Boss Membrane will be dropping to P5 due to the gap behind Emperor to Whale, who's 4.6 seconds down. Let's actually have a look at the penalties. He might not be on 3 seconds anymore. He's still on 3 seconds. Watson with another 3-second time penalty, so that takes him to 9. But it is Gunnar. Gunnar is gaining time on War, so has War's tires reached its maximum capacity to take the fight to Gunnar, because Robin now is down to the back of War here, so Robin still got the opportunity for P2 here. Unfortunate contact between Robin and Gunnar, but as I've said, absolutely nothing Gunnar could have done Just slight bit of context, sending Robin's front of the exit up Maggot. But Robin's got an opportunity here to take P2 from War. He does have the DRS straight going into Stowe as a final opportunity. Guna is well on his way to a victory here that will set him on pole for the main race in the F1 cars. There is a yellow flag again. It might be Bucko again. But Robin got a wonderful opportunity on War here. Will Robin make the move happen on War? It's gonna be a very tight battle, but it does seem like Robin's gonna get the better of War, but War will definitely not be looking to back out of this battle. Will there be an opportunity for War here to re-overtake Robin? It will not. But Guna crosses the line in the victory. Wonderful victory there from the Guna, with Robin in P2 and War in P3. Emperor crosses the line, capitalizing on the penalty to Boss Membrane in P5. Whale will be taking P6. Hilly will be in P7. Admiral drops down to P9 after his 3-second penalty, so Kev moves up into P8. Ryanair will be P10. Delano in P11. Adam Halford in P12. And Dorling in P13. What a lineup this will be for the main race. Adam Halford and M. Dorling. And then of course Delano in front of them. Watson will be taking P14 for the race. Licorius in P15. JSS will be in P16. And Bucko on his way to cross the line with his 9-second penalty. It has been a difficult race for Bucko, but all that matters is finish the race, and he crosses the line in P17 with Doggis and James both retiring from the session. They will be starting in P18 and P19. So wonderful race to see for the F2 cars for the first time this season. And it is Daguna with a wonderful drive. He does take the driver of the day for the game as well, with the cleanest driver award as well, with M. Dorling with the fastest lap at the end and the most overtakes of all the drivers. So that is your result for the sprint. Let me just get the race results here for any admin responsibilities. But it is Daguna who won the race with 5 seconds to spare, and then we've got Robin in P2. Wonderful drive there from Robin in wonderful battles he has been. And then we've got War Emperor in P3, P4 respectively. Boss Membrane in P5. Whale with a wonderful P6 after starting in P11. And of course Healy behind him as well, making his way up the order from P14. And we got Kevin P8, Admiral P9, and Ryan Air will be rounding up the top 10. I do believe we're gonna remain in this lobby. So let me just maybe get the race director for in case. Might be a bit too quick, but if there's anything that anyone wants to report or capture, the race director should be on the stream as well. Bucko, yeah, been a difficult race for you, mate, but it's up to you. It's always about just being able to finish the race at the end. We do have all 19 drivers in the session. I do not see James. I do not know whether James is gonna be joining, but I'll send him an invite in case he needs to join up. As we wait for the lobby to be set. I do wonder whether James will be. James is joining into the session. Welcome back, Jamesy boy. So back to normal we are. I'm gonna take a bit of a breather while we get the lobby back set up. So I'll be back in a jiff. And we are back. I do just want to make a special mention to a very significant name that's missing tonight. It is, of course, the regular commentator of the Sunday division, Royal Brian Royal. So happy to fill in for who's been a very good commentator over the past season or two. So obviously massive fun to be around these wonderful drivers on the Sunday division, and we are back to familiarity. Am I saying it right? I don't know. But in any case, we are in the F1 cars, and of course, as I've explained in the F2 race, the race results has set the grid for. It has set the grid for the main race, and it is a wet race, it seems. I'm not sure whether the weather will be clearing up, but to give you the grid rundown, let's just have a look at the tires. Shouldn't be too different. We've got the Gooner on pole position after that wonderful F2 display. So he'll be starting from the front with Robin following in P2. We've got War in the Mercedes in P3. Emperor in P4. Boss Membrane in P5. We've got Whale in P6. Hilly in P7. Kev in P8. Followed by Admiral in P9. Ryan in P10. Got Delano in P11, Adam Halford in P12, M. Dorling in the Mercedes in P13. And we've got Watson in P14, Lacorius in P15, JSS in P16, Bucko P17, Doggers P18, James P19. And then we've got a new welcoming to Joey Lucchesi. I do apologize if I pronounce it incorrectly. I'm just going to call you Joey for the race. He'll be starting in P20 in the Williams. So as I've mentioned, it is a wet race, as you can see. Not too sure whether it will clear up in the race, but regardless, should be an interesting start to the race. I'm going to jump on board here with War, just to see, or you know what, let's give Emperor some screen time. He does love the rain, doesn't he? So he'll be starting in P4 as we do wait for the lights. And the lights are on. And the lights are out. What a long delay there for the light. But Emperor gets a great start compared to War and Robin. And he goes on the inside of Robin. He does make a bit of contact, but nothing too major. There might be some drama behind. Oh, and there's a Sauber of Delano who's been slipping through. And chaos behind him as well, as everyone tries to get through turn 3 and 4. But Boss Membrane getting a wonderful start. He gets the overtake done on Emperor. So Boss Membrane moves up into P3 with War in P2. Capitalizing on the mistake between Emperor and Robin. He's on full traction in the rain, so a bit of a disadvantage for War in comparison to Boss Membrane, but Junkie absolutely thrives in the rain here, so he'll definitely be looking at his opportunities here for a potential podium position. The Gooner has already created a 2-second gap as something's happened to Whale. Something's happened to Whale, but Whale's now dropped down to P15. James up into P13. And Adam Halford has had a horrendous start so far. He's in P19 with Bucko in P20. So, all going round here today. But War is losing a bit of time to Gooner. We've got yellow flags, but I can't see where that is. It's Joey Lucchesi, who's in P20. He's lost it through Stowe. So he's dropped down to P20 now. We've got a wonderful fight going on here between Boss Membrane, Emperor and Admiral. Admiral looking for the opportunity to gain a position. Admiral's following Emperor quite closely. As Robin has dropped now. It is yellow flags. Does seem like it's just for the incident. Nothing too major that can cause any concern to the drivers ahead. But the two Hasses now. Both of them ahead of the Alpines, who are the constructors' rivals at the moment. But Watson might be looking for a move here on his teammate Ryan Air. But will he be brave enough to send it through cops, or will he give his teammate the respect he deserves to maintain ahead? But Watson gets the better traction out of cops, and he will be going side by side. Ryan Air concedes the position. No risks for the Hasses. They are in a good position to gain some points on their constructors' rivals. But now we've got Licorius on Delano and Delano on Dorling. As Delano fends off the dangerous Licorius, who the Red Bulls are also in quite of a constructors' battle at the moment. But Delano is seeming to have the pace. If you look at the distance between him and Dorling at the moment, Laguna sets the fastest time of the race so far. But Delano's keeping his Sauber to the back of the Mercedes as they gain time on Hilly. Hilly closing down on the SPAC behind the podium boys. As he enters his V-carb into the conversation now. And Robin drops down to P17. Oh, something's happening between Halford and Robin. Robin losing out to Adam Halford. Halford moves up into P16. Halford will be looking to do some damage here from the back. Of course, Adam Halford, one of the more capable drivers in the league to do stunning things. Let's see whether tonight is one of those nights. But Adam Halford got his sights focused now on Doggers, as Doggers goes a bit deep through cops. So he might be losing a bit of time to Adam Halford now, but Adam is closing in through Maggots and Beckett. It's all going to depend on the exit here through Chapel. Oh, and he just gets a bit of a snap there, and that will eliminate the potential for him to get an overtake done on Doggers while sniffing down the back of Ryan Air. Watson has also got past James. Laguna sets the fastest time of the race so far again. So Laguna obviously got no trouble in pace so far. So Whale now looking to have a bit of a battle with Ryan Air ahead of him. And then we've got Watson in a Aston Martin sandwich. Watson might no was looking for the inside there too. His bud Kev. You better be careful because it might make an opportunity open for James to get an overtake done. But now it's Watson. Can he get the overtake done on Kev here on the inside? He's gonna back out of it, so he's staying in P11 for the time being as he gets a 3-second time penalty now. That's after lap 4, of course. Delano still keeping to the back of him, Dorling here, and Dorling is catching up ever so slightly to Hilly. Admiral starting to lose a bit of ground to Emperor here. As we all know, Emperor is an absolute animal in the rain. So Emperor now. They're all bunched up at the moment, with Laguna obviously running away from this race at the moment. But this might be the perfect opportunity for Emperor to get his name on the podium. Boss Membrane ever so closer to to War, just losing a bit on the exit there. But Hilly might have an opportunity on Admiral. It does seem like Admiral's starting to struggle a little bit. Might just be the pace of Emperor ahead, but they are closing back down that gap. But Hilly, as the train backs up the rest of the drivers, M. Dorling and Delano have found themselves into this battle. So this train basically runs now from P2 to P8, so this will be enticing stuff to watch at the moment. Everyone more or less 6 to 7 tenths behind the driver ahead of them. We might jump on board with Whale here as he seems to get closer to Doggers. Let's give Whale some screen time. Let's see how he copes through Maggots and Beckett's to get his car closer to the back of Doggers and Ryanair. Doggers might have an opportunity on Ryanair going into Stowe. Will he make the lunge on the inside? Bit of a heavy contact there with the curb, sending his car a bit to the side. But Whale remains behind Doggers. Delano, as usual, looking fast in the rain tonight, as he's at the back of M. Dorling. There might be some good points for the Gooner to score over his championship rival, as War keeps all the drivers behind him to battle it out themselves so that he can gain the advantage at the end. But obviously defending 8-car train will be quite the ask. Does seem like Boss Membrane and Emperor is closing in on Warrior, so it's going to be interesting to see what the energy usage might be going into Stowe. As you can hear the full traction of the Mercedes just ramming it through to Maggots and Beckett's, but will Boss Membrane have an opportunity here to get the overtake done on Wall, just ever so slightly behind to get it done. So he remains to the back of War. The Gooner sets the fastest lap of the fastest lap of the race so far, so wonderful driving here from the Gooner, absolutely faultless. Just give him some screen time here to see how perfect and consistent he's been to create that 10-second gap after 6 laps. Just an absolutely wonderful driver to watch in the rain. As Boss Membrane's making the move on Warrior, it does seem like he's getting the advantage, but War is now on the tail of Boss Membrane. Will he get the lunge in on the inside? He does go for the lunge, and they go side by side. Absolutely close racing here between the two. Will this open an opportunity for Emperor potentially? They still go side by side, and Boss Membrane gets the move done on War going into Cops. It's now gonna be a matter of getting the move done through Maggots and Beckett's as well. But Emperor is just lurking, waiting for the perfect opportunity for an overtake for the podium position. Oh, and he gets a bit of a snap and slide there. He might still get the opportunity here on War. And he doesn't, unfortunately, but he is getting closer, so there's an opportunity for Emperor here. He does go a bit off track. Wonder if that might be a warning. But some close racing. This train is just getting bigger and bigger with the introduction of Licorius behind now. A bit of slipping and sliding there from the Red Bull. Ely looking for an opportunity on Admiral as he's getting closer to the Ferrari. Oh, and Admiral gets a bit, might have been a bit of a rear lock up there potentially, but Hilly just looking for the right time to get the move done, but Dorling is sniffing down the back of Hilly now. Will Dorling potentially go for an opportunity? Hilly moves out of the way just to break that slipstream a bit. But Dorling remains in P7 and Delano, as everyone else, just looking for the right time where someone might be making a mistake. But the Kuna is just absolutely running away with this race at the moment. This train is growing by the lap as James is catching up to the back of this train, so he's gonna find himself in this train within the next few corners. I believe he's 1.2 seconds behind Watson. This might be an opportunity for Emperor. Yeah, he did get the better exit out of Chapel. Apologies. Some great racing here between all the drivers. Ely is dangerously close to Admiral with every corner they go through. Emperor might be looking for a move here on Wall. He does decide to stay out of it, but he's getting closer to the Mercedes, and Boss Membrane is racking away at the moment, so Emperor needs to get this move done as soon as possible. So there's a bit of a battle going on between Licorius and Delano. And Bucko picks up a 3-second time penalty. A bit of contact there from Licorius. Just got a bit too eager, and that opens the door for Watson to move himself up into P9. He of course needs to shake off the penalty that he's been awarded with. But James now has caught up to this train, and there's a move from Dorling on Hilly, and contact between Emperor and War, which sends Admiral through to P3. So Admiral now moves to the front of the train, trying to chase down Boss Membrane. He has created almost a 4-second gap now. Illy also making the move on War, so War is now losing a bit of ground. Just gotta avoid the contact there with Hilly. It's just a bit late on the braking, but he's under threat now from Delano as well, as Watson makes his way into the pit lane. But Delano now gonna try and make the move. It's 3 side, and there goes Licorius. Licorius found the contact. He sandwiched himself between the Mercedes and Delano. I believe it was a sandwich between the three, and he just got the worst end of it, and now he dropped down to P12. So Licorius unlucky in that situation, but Delano has made it through on War, so Delano is trying to gain his way back to Hilly, and Dorling is got his eyes set on Emperor now, obviously trying to minimize the damage that Guna is causing at the moment to his lead in the driver standings. And what a move this will be from Dorling on Emperor. And great move there. It sends Emperor a bit wide, and it opens the door for his teammate Hilly. Might have been a strategic move there to get Hilly past so that he can jump onto the back of Dorling to get the vehicle up some good points here for the race. Emperor might be finding himself in trouble now a bit because Delano is closing in on him. It might be sending it to the inside of Stowe. good spatial awareness there from Emperor. Delano not getting the move stuck as he wanted, but he sends it down the inside of the penultimate corner. And Emperor keeping it side by side, going through the final corner of the lap. Delano very close to the rear there of Emperor, but he gets the move done. Wonderful move there from Delano. And it's War trying to capitalize on that battle. But he's got James lurking behind him as well. So some wonderful racing going on here. Side by side action. Absolutely love to see that. We've got Rabbi in the chat. Bucko my hero. Absolutely, Rabbi. Absolutely. With all these battles going on, it does seem like the train has divided itself a bit. So Admiral trying to chase down Boss Membrane, but he's got the threat of Darling behind him. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Darling can find the opportunity through Maggots and Beckett's potentially, with as per the move that he did on Hilly earlier. Not close enough to do so, but he might get an opportunity going into Stowe here, as Emperor get his 3-second time penalty, so that will set him back a bit for what could have been a potential podium position. But anything can happen. It is F1 after all. James now looking for the opportunity on War down Stowe. Wall goes a bit deep to try and defend the move from the Aston Martin. He's going to send it side by side now, and now James is through on War, so he's got his eyes set now on Emperor with the 3-second time penalty ahead of him. Wonderful driving there from James to get the move done. Wales also got himself into a battle with Kev, as Licorius gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Unfortunate there for Licorius. He was looking absolutely rapid there until the collision between himself, Delano and War on the home straight. While trying to find the answers for Akakev. As we got Darling trying to get the move done on Admiral. They go side by side here. Admiral defending as he should, and Admiral stays ahead in that P3 position, and it might open the door for Hilly if these two get too friendly with each other. Absolutely wonderful driving between the three of them. Darling might find himself an opportunity here. Admiral just swerving to the left there to break the slipstream. As Darling is going to remain in P4 until the start of the next lap at least. But there might be a battle going on between Whale and Kev. Kev having an absolute blinder of a race so far, as Kev is closing down on War. Now the question remains, who's gonna be the first to pit? As Watson sets the fastest lap of the race so far. Whale's gonna look for the move on the inside of Kev. Kev is keeping it respectful between the two of them, as Whale finds himself ahead of Kev, but this might open the door for Kev now to get a move done in the next corner. And he doesn't do so. So Whale, wonderful move there on Kev. He moves himself up into P10 now, as this battle between Admiral, Darling and Hilly keeps hotting up by the minute. Seems like Boss Membrane did manage to neutralize the gap a bit between himself and Gunnar, but Gunnar's still running away with the race at the moment. This might open the door for Hilly on Darling. As Delano now has also entered his name into the conversation. As this is the battle for P3 at the moment, and Darling triggers the first pit stop between these drivers. Delano will stay out. Emperor will stay out as well as James and War, Darling's teammate. Hopefully there's enough of a gap between the two of them to get the double stack done. Let's see whether it is the case, and it is the case. Both Mercedes getting themselves into the pit lane, so they'll be obviously going for the one stop. It does look like the track is drying out a bit, so some of these drivers might be looking to postpone the initial pit strategy of pitting on lap 13, just for in case track dries out as much as getting the tires too hot and then they wear much quicker. So still a battle going on between Hilly and Admiral. It seems like War is on hard tires as well as Robin. Let's have a look at how this is panning out. Let's see whether the dry tires do benefit the track conditions at the moment. It has stopped raining. So Darling could have made a mistake here, because it doesn't seem like War is struggling too much on the hard tires. So Darling could have made a mistake because he's on inters. The boss membrane now jumps into the pit lane, so let's see what the Red Bull is doing in terms of strategy. Is the track drying out enough for the drivers to get the slicks on? And indeed, boss membrane is putting on mediums. Delano is following him into the pits as well as James. So Delano will be putting on the hard tires. James is on the hards as well. Interesting decision there from boss membrane, going 11 laps on the mediums. We do know it's a difficult one stop in the dry conditions. As Healy closes in on Admiral ever so slightly. Guna's now got a 16-second gap to Admiral. Does Guna pull the trigger to get the slicks on? It does seem like the track is getting ever so drier by the second. Obviously still seeing some standing water here and there, but it does seem like the racing line and about a meter or 2 meters either side of the racing line getting dry enough for the slick tires, as Delano gets a 3-second time penalty. So but Guna does pull the trigger and he goes into the pit lane. Will Guna react by putting on the dry tires? And no, he puts on the inters. Is the rain coming back? Three-second time penalty for Adam Halford. Admiral is putting on the medium tires. So this is interesting. This might be a big mistake from Guna, who had a 16-second lead. Who is finding himself now on the inter tires. But I haven't seen a fastest lap yet from the dry runners, so it might still be in that 50-50 area in terms of what time might be better. But Guna is going to look at a move on Emperor now down the inside, and he does get the move done as he moves into P2 now. Obviously in the provisional race lead, as Wall gets a 3-second time penalty. The question is, did Guna pull the trigger too early to get him onto the inter tires, because the track is drying up ever so slightly. But I reckon that once Gunnar gets the opportunity to pit again for dry tires. That he needs to do that as soon as possible so that he doesn't lose too much of time. I still have yet to see a fastest time. Fastest lap at the moment is Dorling on the inter tires. Wales got a 3-second time penalty, so all the dry runners seem to be losing their cars and going off track and getting 3-second time penalties by the minute. But Gunnar is still on the inters. He gets the move done on Hilly. And he's now with a pit stop in the bag, in the race lead over the drivers who are yet to pit. So the question is Hilly trying to take these inters as far as possible where the track dries out enough for the slicks to actually work? Some interesting noises there in the background. Oh, and there's a move from Dorling on Watson and Ryanair. He gets the move done on Ryanair, but will he get the move done on Watson? As it doesn't seem like the dry runners are having the best of times at the moment. Uguna's already 6 seconds ahead of Hilly. So Hilly obviously, along with Ryanair, trying to get these tyres as far as possible, and Hilly gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. He doesn't seem like he's got a puncture at all, so big mistake there from Hilly. And of course can't serve the 10-second now, but he's going onto soft tyres. Interesting decision there from Hilly. Doesn't seem like the track is drying at the rate that you'd expect, so it will be interesting to see. Gunnar is definitely creating a massive gap between himself and Watson, so it will give him the opportunity to potentially pit for slicks if the conditions change that way, as we see some sort of incident. It seems like Admiral might be having a hard time on those mediums. As JSS gets the move done on Boss Membrane, so it does seem like the Inters are the better tyre to be on. So this could be massive for Watson, Gunnar and Dorling, and as well as JSS. Bucko gets a 3-second time penalty. Gunnar is now 13.4 seconds ahead of Watson. As Ryanair now goes into the pit lane. Is it the time for the dry tyres? It doesn't seem like it. The fastest time still remains to an Inters driver. So Ryanair is slapping on the softs, and Doggers now follows him into the pit lane as well. And he slaps on the medium tyres. So this will be an interesting conversation to have. So you've got Gunnar 13.7 seconds ahead of Dorling. And Weil gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Delano also gets a 10-second time penalty, and Kev retires from the race. What's happened to Kev? And the safety car is out. Well. Robin gets a drive-through penalty. That's unfortunate for Robin. This could be massive for the likes of Ryanair and Doggers. As Gunnar goes into the pit lane, so he certainly thinks the track is going to dry out enough for him to remain in the lead. So the question remains, what will Dorling do? Gunnar is going onto the medium tyres, so he doesn't opt for the soft tyres, but Dorling follows him into the pit lane, as does Watson. Dorling gets a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision with Watson. That's unfortunate. That's obviously a penalty that could potentially be removed for Dorling, but Dorling slaps onto the medium tyres and Watson goes onto the hards. Interesting decision there from the Haas. Absolute chaos going on track. We've got multiple drivers on various sets of tyres, which is very unforeseen. As you see, the entire grid opting for the dry tyres. It does seem like Joey Lucchesi is staying out on the Inters, so that might be an interesting thing to look out for as well. Now then, we see Hilly and Doggers both on the Inters, so they're going to go for something different for the safety car restart. So seeing multiple strategies here, and the safety car has come to the save of the two Saubers, who both received 10-second time penalties. Dorling, of course, with a 10-second time penalty of his own. Does he serve it now? That will be the question. Dorling does make his way into the pit lane, so he's gonna get rid of the 10-second time penalty. But did he get another one? Did Dorling get another 10-second time penalty? He did. Watson's on 36 seconds. Wow. That's absolutely insane. So Watson does get his penalty reduced to 26 seconds. Dorling did get another 10-second time penalty in the pit lane for some reason. It briefly flashed onto my screen for the reasoning for the 10-second time penalty, but I couldn't really capture what the reasoning was. As everyone starts lining up to the back of the safety car, and Dorling get a 3-second time penalty on an outlap, or behind the safety car rather. So all these drivers with penalties are at risk of finishing quite low on the results, which might open the door for some surprises. This will be a sprint of its own. As Darling has no other choice than to serve his 10-second time penalty again. Delano, a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He was probably looking at getting his 10-second removed, and just as Darling getting another 10-second will definitely not help the matter. Absolute chaos on track. Doggers getting a 10-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit. This is absolute chaos. I've never seen this amount of 10-second time penalties in a league race before, so this is just absolute chaos. And basically everyone in the top 13, except for potentially Bucko and War, will be up for massive results here. As we see the safety car coming in this lap. So everyone getting bunched up now, except for potentially the two Saubers. Of course, we all know the mind games that the Guna can play when it comes to a safety car restart. He's trying to get those tires up to temperature. Just want to get the tire strategies on. So it is Joey Lucchesi in that main train on the Inter still. So let's see when the Guna pulls the trigger, and he pulls the trigger now, and it did catch Boss Membrane off guard a bit. He's under threat of Emperor here. As Emperor gets a great start off the safety car restart. And it is Joey Lucchesi struggling to keep up with all the slick runners. He makes contact with his teammate. And Ryan Air now making his move on Admiral. Admiral trying to defend to Warrior. And a bit of rear contact there. Did Admiral push War a bit off track there? But War makes the dive down the inside of Admiral. And Admiral keeping it side by side. Those tough tires will have mega amounts of grip. Did I see a car go off track there? I'm not quite sure, but I do see Delano potentially who spun out. So Delano has lost out to get his name into the conversation. Boss Membrane losing a bit of time to the Guna. Emperor keeping a good eye on the Red Bull, but so is JSS behind him. James now getting a 3-second time penalty, which will not help his cause, as he's got loads of drivers ahead of him who's got penalties themselves as well. But JSS now maybe looking for an opportunity on Emperor. He does not go for the move. He is on the soft tires, remember, so Guna taking the fastest time of the lap, fastest time of the race so far. And race control announcing that DRS is enabled this lap. Will JSS go for a move on the inside of Emperor? Yeah, he does not. He will stay behind Emperor, so this might open a door for Emperor to potentially go for a move on Boss Membrane. And Boss Membrane goes off track. He lost his car completely, so Emperor now moves up into P2. Of course, with the time penalty, He's gonna have to try and defend himself as much as humanly possible and potentially to create a gap of 3 seconds behind to get a podium position, a well-deserved podium position for Emperor, but he is disadvantaged at the moment unless the drivers behind him can manage to collect that final warning that they wouldn't want to open the door again for Emperor. But JSS here looking absolutely fast on these soft tires. We've got yellow flags there for Boss Membrane. While getting a 3-second time penalty for cutting corners. Naughty boy. We do have a battle between War and Adam Alford here. They are going side by side, but Adam Alford just pulls out of it a bit. And that opens the door for Licorius to go side by side with Alford into the final corner. 10-second time penalty for Robin. And now we see Bucko. Bucko going for a move on Licorius. And Dorling trying to fight himself back of the disastrous 10-second time penalty. But JSS still trying to find the answers to Emperor's defending to get the overtake done. He is going to be under threat from Ryanair and Admiral for that podium positions. So JSS needs to be careful here. War on 11 lap old hard tires, and Dorling trying to get a sniff onto his teammate just to get the penalties up to the screen. There we go. So massive podium battle here between Admiral, Ryanair, JSS and Emperor. JSS might have a look on the inside of Emperor. No, he doesn't. He stays out of it, so Emperor remains in P2 for the time being. Adam Alpha drops a few positions, so something's happened to Adam. Guna sets the fastest time of the race, and Emperor gets another 3-second time penalty for his moment there on the home straight. Dorling sets the fastest time of the race. Watson getting a 10-second time penalty for gaining a position and not giving it back within time. Will be something for the stewards to look at, but this is the moment for JSS to get the move done on Emperor. He's gonna be under threat behind. Dorling has got the move done on Admiral, and he's got the move done on Ryanair as well. So Dorling is trying to get himself into the podium spot, but does he have enough time to try and get the gap to Ryanair and Admiral? For the time being, it will be JSS and Ryanair on the podium. So Admiral's gonna want to be looking for answers here as he goes a bit deep there into Cops. But Gouda will be crossing the line very soon for the race victory. JSS here is gonna look for an opportunity on Emperor to get the move done. Will JSS send it down the inside of Emperor? He will not. Bucko's dropping positions now. Something's happened to Bucko. But just the moment he deserves. Guna crosses the line of the Silverstone Grand Prix and he wins, with Emperor defending really well to cross in provisional P2, but JSS moves up into P2 for a podium spot, and Ryanair in P3. Admiral missing out on the podium position with 0.08 of a second. Dorling with his 3-second time penalty will find himself in P5, and Hilly will find himself into P6. Licorius in P7. Emperor with his 6 seconds. 100ths of a second that he's losing out to Licorius for that P7 position. James in P9. Alfred in P10. War in P11. Whale in P12. Joey Lucchesi in P13. Boss Membrane after a dreadful spin-off after the safety car restart in P14. Doggers in P15. got Bucko in P16, Robin in P17, and then Watson and Delano rounding off the results in P18 and 19 respectively. And that was your Silverstone Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. What an absolute chaotic race it was. We've seen multiple 10-second time penalties for speeding in the pit lanes, crossing the pit lane exit, and also collisions and incidents where positions haven't been returned on track. We've seen a wet race for the majority of the race where drivers were put in a position where it was basically confusing on what strategy is the best strategy. Laguna found himself in a position where he could have potentially lost his dominant race win after pitting for the Inters, but a safety car has been deployed and everyone at the end of the day was on the slick tires, and it was Laguna who eventually grabbed the race win at Silverstone. He's also won the F2 sprint. Darling driver of the day for this feature race through the game. And then we've got Watson on the most overtakes, and then obviously Mr. Guna himself as the race winner with the fastest lap and being the cleanest driver, although he had absolutely no one to battle with. So just to get the results here for the admin, the results are on stream, and I will not be able to get race director, but thank you, ladies and gents, for giving me the opportunity to do comms for you tonight here at Silverstone. What two races we had. It was absolutely insane, entertaining, good side-by-side battles. Few incidents here and there will definitely be reported to the stewards after the race to be looked at, but at the end of the day we saw an absolute dominant victory from the Guna in both the F2 and F1 race, and then JSS finding himself into that P2 position after a very tough start for him, and then eventually Ryanair, after all the penalties ahead, has found himself in that final podium position. That was me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. I do say thank you to everyone watching the stream afterwards, and potential any TikToks or YouTube clips that might be uploaded in the future. I do say thank you for watching that as well. Thank you and good night.